Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Nisa. So I'm Shiran Ben Abderrazak from Tunis. I'm actually the CEO of Fondation Rambourg, which is a private philanthropy working on toward creative economy and craft and culture and education in Tunisia. Uh, I I have a master in political studies from l'EHESS, l'École des hautes études en sciences sociales. Um, I was working on the strange stability of the Tunisian political system, and I did that in 2009, 2010. And now I will speak. I will try to answer, or at least giving some insight on the question of what role can civic. I think most of the people who spoke before me addressed a lot of the reason for the distress that we are experiencing in our societies today, and I think that Tunisia is a particularly good place to see how we can address these kinds of problems because of the tension gave us is this distrust, this broken trust between the societies, the citizens, and the states and the governments. It has been emphasized by the previous speakers, but I think that it is important to remind that during the resistance against the dictatorship, civil society used to consider the public servants and the governments are their enemies, and vice versa. I mean, it's the public servants also have been always stigmatized and attacked by the civil societies militants. So obviously there is this gap that is quite existing, and it's quite problematic. The real problematic that we have now, after these 10 years of transition, is that governments and Tunisian government is facing a lot of economical struggle, because doing the political transition is hard and it's complicated, and the price to pay economically is strong. Plus, these days we have to face the pandemic, which is a global problem, and we are all experiencing a global recession. So it is starting right now from yesterday. We all saw that. So the question now is how, as part of the same whole, as part of this social contract, civil society and should and must become the strongest ally of the government in order to prevent the state failure, because this is really, I think, the threat that is hanging at the end of the road if we don't find together a solution. So if we look at the strength that civil society have, we can see that the past 10 years it have been exposed to a lot of capacity building, which gave them, these organizations and this person and these people, a lot of tools, a lot of expertise, a lot of human resources, skills, and also because most of them have implemented during these years on the territories of the countries where they were doing the work, a lot of trust from the citizens, from the population, because that's inside of not even certain that we can always speak of citizenship because of the distrust between the government and because of these kind of fracture that are lying inside the population. We have the expertise for that. But in order for this kind of symbiosis, I don't know if it's really a symbiosis, but this kind of partnerships, new way of seeing this partnership between civil society and government and public servants have to start. There are some challenges that exist and that must be addressed, and before that, acknowledged. So I listed three of them, but mainly there are two, and I will try to be very synthetic because I think that we don't have that much time. So the first of them is acknowledging the need for this cooperation. And for the 3 points, I think it's that both sides, civil societies and public servants, have to addressing these things. So acknowledging the needs of this cooperation from the public servant side, and Anne just reminded us days ago, a news have been in Tunisia, the first one. So actually, we are speaking really of the heart of the public servants, the administrations, the people who are really doing the states, are being the states, beside all the political factions or all political view. And usually, from this perspective, from the perspective of these people, when you are incarnating the state, you don't really see the civil society as something that can help you. And on the other side, from the civil society's perspective, from the legacy of all the resistance, and seeing how the administrations and the public servants are stuck in some kind of way of seeing the world, which is not really up to date from their point of view, again, from the point of view of the civil societies, it can be seen that there is no need for cooperation. But I'm really convinced that, as I said, these two parts are part of the same whole. I mean, administration today won't be able to evolve if it doesn't speak and doesn't create a new line of dialogue with civil society. And civil society will still be blocked because we won't be able to operate at the state level as soon as we are not working with the state and the government. So I think acknowledging the need of this cooperation is the first step, and is the first challenge to be addressed and acknowledged. The second one is what I call the mutual misunderstanding. I mean by that usually are living in living and why they are managing things the way they manage, and again vice versa. I think that the government and public servant don't understand and quite fear, and there is some kind of fear from both sides also, because usually for these past 10 years civil societies have been founded by a lot of funders, might they be international and public agencies, or even philanthropy like I'm running right now, or all these kinds of funding. And if we look back to how the government and the states were built around the 60s, it was mainly building around the notion of l'indépendance, the independence from the colonialists. So there is, interestingly, in the DNA of the public servant, this thought of a world that should be closed and the nation that should be protected. And so civil societies organization are often seen as the end of the stranger, or the end of the enemy, or a lot of things like that. So actually, I really think that we are in an open world, and I think that civil society organization that really emerged from these 10 past years in Tunisia are profoundly nationalist and patriotist, but not in the way the public servant usually see what should mean patriot and nationalism. So I think there is this dialogue around these strong notions that should be updated, and from both sides. And I think again that this kind of wall that are existing sometimes, not always, of course, and not with everybody, between public servant and government and civil society organization, just like because of this misunderstanding on these notions that were the strong, I would say that, sand on which all these have been built. So the third and last point for this presentation would be actually to that these society organization and public servant and government must be a way to maintain a link and some kind of stability through the instability. What I mean by that is that actually in Tunisia, from these 10 past years, we are experiencing a lot of instability, of political instability. We are changing each 6 months or 9 months, we are changing governments. So there is a strong, one of the main difficulty to and dialogue with citizens, and to maintain the programs, the government programs, and the integrity of the states and of its programs and projects is through stability. Because if each 6 or 9 months the reference to the citizen is changing and the face is changing, so the trust is getting thinner and thinner until the point which it's just get lost. So when you are working with organizations who are deeply rooted in the territory and deeply connected to the citizenship, and you can build and construct some kind of program, governmental project that you are when you are working with this civil society organization, I think that you can rebuild trust and rebuild links and maintaining these links toward the instability. For example, the last Ministry of Culture that just went out yesterday started a new dynamics in which she actually not like forced, but in some way forced in the good way, her administration to work with the civil society organization in order to reform a strong, well, I won't enter into the details because it's not very interesting, but we have some kind of trouble with some social law regarding the artists and the creators. But the specificity of the new dynamics is that she created a mechanism where the civil society organization of artists and culture are forced to work with the public servant and government, which means that actually, even if we have a new minister and a new government, anyhow, this dynamic cannot be unmade. So right now, this process is going to continue. So this is what I mean when I say that this is maintaining a link and maintaining some kind of stability through the instability. To conclude, I will say that actually what we can imagine in order to implement this kind of thinking and to make both party acknowledging the need of cooperation and to undo this material misunderstanding and create more dialogue is to create bridge, to build bridges between the public servants, and I will say where they are trained, and the civil society organization. And this could be made through, in Asia we have something that is called the Diplomatic Academy and the Military Academy and also the Higher Administration School. And I think that these places where are going to be trained should be the places that should make places to civil society organization, and this is where eventually we should think of creating bridges and way to discuss and way to present new ways of working and things like that. So thank you for your attention.